Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us, coming to you from Washington's premier indoor shooting facility. Of course, that is Security Gun Club right here in Woodinville, Washington. You know, sometimes life itself gives us the best examples to illustrate how the law can or should work in some instances. And so today what we're going to spend some time talking about is a terminology that I think a lot of us didn't even know or use 5 years ago, but we use it all too often now, and I'm talking about smash and grab robberies. There seems to be an absolute epidemic of those currently throughout the United States. But like every time we do one of these deep geek out sessions and we start talking about the law, we always say, hey, listen, there may be a big difference between what you have the right to do and doing the right thing. And I think this is a perfect example. So today, let's spend a few minutes, let's slow it all down, and let's talk about, can I shoot a smash and grab robber? Okay, before we get going too far down the road we're going down, proud to announce that this video is being brought to you by Right to Bear. That's right, legal protection for self-protection. Listen, good lawyers aren't cheap, cheap lawyers aren't good. You're not truly prepared unless you have Right to Bear back you. You will always get an attorney-answered hotline, so you will always have a confidential phone call. There are no cap limits for either civil or criminal defense. This covers all forms of self-defense. So from a fist to a firearm, from a fat lip to a dead body, you are covered, and you will have some of the nation's most passionate 2A attorneys in your corner fighting for you. And right now, if you visit my friends at protectwithbear.com and you use the promo code WGL, you will receive 10% off. Listen, you need to protect yourself so that you can protect them. Visit my good friends at protectwithbear.com. Okay, so here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about smash and grab robberies. Now, everyone knows what a smash and grab robbery is now because, well, just about every single day you can go to any social media platform and watch one occur. Now, I want to thank one of our loyal viewers, David M. out of California. David actually prompted this question through that link right there. So if any of you have ideas for videos that Washington Gun Law should be doing, go ahead and visit that link and we'll put it down in the description box below. And hey, listen, some of the best videos we've ever done weren't actually our ideas. David actually asked this question. Hey, can I shoot or can you shoot a smash and grab robber if you happen to be in the store? Now, David, as I mentioned, lives in California, so it's not like he's really worried about this happening, right? Okay, two things. This is what we're going to do. We're going to set up our hypothetical, and then we're going to go over the rules of engagement, or what we sometimes call the laws of self-defense. This is our hypothetical. Our hypothetical is you are shopping, and let's just call it a fine jewelry store. It's got a lot of nice jewelry, a lot of nice watches. You're there just lawfully minding your own business, maybe about to spend a bunch of money, when a group of robbers bum rushes the store, all with crowbars, immediately starts smashing all of the display counters and immediately grabbing as much of the jewelry and other valuables as they possibly can. Now, for purposes of this hypothetical, this is important. You need to understand that hypothetically, all of the attention of all of the robbers is being spent smashing out the display counters and merely grabbing the items of value. At no point in this hypothetical do any of the robbers attempt to individually rob a patron that's in the store, and at no point in this hypothetical do any of the robbers threaten any of the employees with any level of violence. The employees are standing there stunned. The robbers are actively running around the store grabbing things. You are sitting there along with some other patrons. You're all stunned. What the heck is going on here? And they're just about to take off. And so then the question now is, can you use lethal force? I think we can all agree at this point, if you wanted to use some type of force, it's probably legally permissible. Again, whether it's the right thing to do, we'll get to that. But can we use lethal force? Okay, so let's go over the rules of engagement then. Now, as we know, for any force, no matter what, whether it involves a fist or a firearm, whether it involves a fat lip or a dead body, every bit of force that is used in defense of ourselves or others has to be, 1, necessary, 2, it has to be reasonable, both objectively and subjectively speaking. And 3, it has to be proportional, okay? Then we also know that in most states, there are 4 instances in which an individual may lawfully use lethal force. Those include 1, you yourself are in imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. Number 2, somebody else in your presence is in imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury. Number 3, you have a felony being committed upon your person. Or number 4, there is a felony being committed inside your home. Finally, let's also remember that in almost all jurisdictions in the United States, lethal force is not allowable to defend only property. And then finally, the caveat that goes with all of this is we are talking in generalizations and hypotheticals, which means if you want the exact answer as it relates to your state, you need to contact local counsel, because I can assure you each state does in fact have different self-defense laws. Okay, so let's begin to answer the question. Well, this is how the analysis goes. While we may think that this is a property crime, they are just there to get the jewelry. What we are witnessing right here is a violent felony. Now, that's right, it is the felony of robbery, okay? We call them smash and grab robberies. We don't call them smash and grab thefts or anything like that, because this is a robbery. What is a robbery? Every state has its own way of defining it, but in general, a robbery is going to be defined as the action of taking property unlawfully from a person or place by force or threat of force. Okay, so if we are taking the property of another by using force or threatening to use force, that is a robbery. And here's the deal. That is a felony in every state, and here's the deal. It's a violent felony, okay? Which means the victims of this robbery are actually having a violent felony committed upon them. Now, if they just stay put and really don't get involved, the likelihood of them being injured is, under this hypothetical, not particularly great. And I want you to remember that when we circle back on that. But this is much more than a property crime. This is a serious offense. This is no different than if you walked up and you saw that some old lady had 2 hoodlums, one holding a crowbar over her head while the other one was ripping the purse off of her, okay? They haven't actually physically harmed her yet. Thank God they have not hit her with the crowbar. But is she being robbed? She most definitely is. In addition to that we have a violent felony that's occurring inside our hypothetical jewelry store, let us all remember also that under my hypothetical, they are all armed with what could easily be used as a deadly weapon, which of course is the crowbar. So if they were to turn their attention from the display cabinets to any of the employees or other customers inside the store, then things would take a much more dramatic turn. And I think then at this point, the hypothetical would require a whole new reanalysis of what's happening here. So the bottom line is this: do you have the right to use lethal force in this situation? Well, yeah, somebody else in your presence is having a violent felony committed upon them that places them in imminent risk of death or serious bodily injury. And so, yes, in many jurisdictions, not saying all, but in many jurisdictions, you likely would have the right to use lethal force. However, and this is the big however, that may be what you have the right to do, but let's talk about doing the right thing here, because let's go back and go through the hypothetical again. You're in the store as a patron, which means you have no vested interest in anything inside the store. Number 2, I mentioned in the hypothetical that while they were turning all their attention on the display cabinet and grabbing as many things of value as they could get, at no point were they turning their attention nor threatening any of the employees with any violence. Okay, that's part of the hypothetical as well. Number 3, I also said that at no point were any of the robbers attempting to individually rob patrons or customers that were inside the store. So at this point, and I know this is an incredibly crazy situation here, but at this point, what you have is a bunch of people that are taking somebody else's property, okay? And so while you may have the right to take the shot, why on God's green earth would you get yourself involved in that way? Okay, right now, the way it sits, after they get away with whatever they take, You to the police department is nothing more than an eyewitness, okay? But if one of those robbers ends up happening to just die right there on the showroom floor, okay, well then you could be a lot more than an eyewitness. In fact, you may be a suspect at that point. And think about it. You now will have put yourself in that kind of jeopardy to defend the property that didn't even belong to you. And now let's change the hypothetical just one little bit. Let's make it the employees, okay? Now they, in all likelihood, are the true victims of here. They are in charge of the inventory. The inventory is their responsibility, and it is now being taken from them through the use of force or the threatened use of force. They are the actual victims of a felony being committed upon them, and they even have a greater likelihood that they have legal right to use lethal force. But what I would say to the employees is that inventory yours? No, it belongs to whoever owns the business, and I'm pretty darn certain they probably got insurance to cover that. So once again, while you may have the right to do it, is it doing the right thing? Well, if doing the right thing is completely upending your life, which is likely to happen, merely to protect the property of somebody else, you know, that's a decision you all get to make, but in the grand scheme of things, that probably is not the hill worth dying on. Listen, I know you guys may have some more questions about this, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you do have any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is down there in the description box. And then finally, let's everyone remember that part of being a lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.